Any guesses?
Social media.
New members.
What was that?
Social media.
Social media, and I have a surprise for you. It's not just social media. Who's all on Facebook? A great portion of the room. So Kristen will be speaking with me towards the end of my talk because she's going to give you some insight to going beyond social media. So I'm not going to give away my full divulge of secrets. Okay, so a little bit about me. Today we are talking about social media and using Rotary. I call it going Rotary social. I joined Rotary in 2012. You may recognize my father. He brought me into a wonderful family. I was moving back from California and really didn't know anybody in Plano. And he said, Sarah, why don't you come along with me to a Rotary Club meeting? I'm like, Dad, I would love to. And so I kind of wander in, and there's all this food and all these amazing people, and I just felt this overwhelming sense of just family. And so I joined Rotary that night. It ended up being an installation dinner. And so I kept saying, Dad, you know, if there's all this food all the time, how can I not join? But it was an installation dinner. You may recognize my father, Jeff, because he's gone around speaking to our clubs about marketing without money. And to tack onto his speech, because he is part of the district and the public relations chair, I do help him along those lines, but I told him, you know, Dad, I need to go around speaking about social media because it's great to be featured in the news with all of our clubs, but what better way to get the word out for free by using social media? Am I in the right room? Who wants to learn a little bit more about getting the word out about our clubs and even reaching our next generation of Rotarians using social media? Because that is my personal mission, is to grab all my friends. I've got Zach and Jared and Kristen, who all need to be Rotarians, just saying, who can hand them all join the club cards. But this is also to reach the next generation. You may be sitting there wondering, well, why social media? Again, it's free, completely free to use Facebook and all the other social media platforms. It's an easy way to connect and gain club exposure, and also for any of you that are in business. It's a great way to really get the word out about your businesses. And of course, to reach more people. Now, how many of you know how many Rotarians we are strong here in District 5810? We have a huge reach, over 2,600 Rotarians just here in District 5810, and 1.25 million Rotarians worldwide, which is a huge reach already that we can be communicating internationally through Facebook and social media. And our challenge is to continue to tell fresh, new ways to get our story out about Rotary. And it all starts with you. So some of you may be sitting there thinking, gosh, Sarah, I'm just too old for this. Where's Rotary Bill? Do we have a Rotary Bill? Because I keep hearing that. Sarah, I don't care about social media. Why do I need to care about social media? Well, the truth is that social seniors are flocking to Facebook, and they're taking over Facebook alone. So that's why we are highlighting Facebook today, not so much Instagram, Twitter, and all the other platforms. LinkedIn is great for business, but today we will just be talking about some Facebook strategies. And if Facebook were a country, it would surpass China. Think about that for a minute. We're reaching billions and billions of people. And part of the mission through using social media is to talk about the great things that we're doing and the difference that we're making, and posting pictures and other wonderful things, and connecting and reaching more, and just getting that presence out there. So for those of you that are not as familiar with Facebook, it is an online profile. You do have a club page. It's the Prestonwood Rotary Club page, so I made sure and I went on there, and you're already far beyond several clubs in our district that just don't have a Facebook page at all. So I won't bore you with the details about how to make a Facebook page, but if anyone does need some help with wanting to create a personal page or a business page, I would love to help you. It's really easy, under 5-minute process to start a Facebook page. So I suggest to post videos and photos. Zach here has volunteered himself to take pictures today, and so we have some pictures we would love to give you from today's presentation, and he's been taking little snapshots of each and every one of you, so that way people can see in the community, wow, this looks like such a friendly club, I would love to join, and just to be able to post things on your social media page is awesome. It's a great place to be able to give and get information just at large of everybody here in the club, they can post on there and talk about how great the meeting was or how great the speaker was. And so one thing that I do want to point out is that we do have a District 5810 Facebook page, and as I'm looking around, okay, what's going on with the Rotary world? I found out, just imagine if we were all in a commuter train car, because I found a Rotary Club in India that actually meets weekly on a commuter train car through Facebook. How cool is that? So there's all these other clubs around the world that are just posting really interesting things. And so I sent them a message, and they kind of, responded, and it's just really an interesting way to connect with other clubs just through one click on Facebook. So, other easy ways to get the word out beyond Facebook. Well, still in Facebook. I apologize for the slide. So do you see this Rotary wheel here? If you go to the District 5810 page, there I have pinned it to the top. So if you go on Facebook and go to District 5810, you can take your current Facebook picture and put a proud member cover just on your Facebook picture. Now, I have to admit, when I joined Rotary, I didn't announce to my Facebook page, hey guys, I joined Rotary. I didn't, and it was back in 2012, and I don't even know what I was posting at that point. But as soon as I did this, and it's just one click, so many people on my page were asking me, Sarah, you joined, wow, Rotary, tell me more about Rotary. This is really interesting. So it started a little conversation just between my own internal network on my Facebook page. So I encourage all of you that have a personal page, just go on there and change your profile picture. It's just one click, and then it says proud Rotary member. And you can choose to keep it on there forever or just a week, or it kind of gives you some other options there. I did add a slide on here, just again, building the awareness. There was a Rotary Club member that I had met, and she had in her email signature Rotary, which was really cool for her business. And so I've added that to mine. I encourage you also to add that to your email signatures, because again, it's a free, easy way to keep spreading the Rotary brand and who we are. Other things, and I don't want to go too long because I want to introduce Kristen really quick. And it's not just Kristen speaking, it's her little baby. She's pregnant and beautiful. She's wearing blue today, so I think that means she's having a boy, but she's not going to announce it yet. So again, what you can do on your Facebook page is post your weekly events and invite your friends through Facebook. It's kind of a nice little way to say, hey, come join me for lunch, and date, time, location. And so everybody in the club, I'm encouraging to, some clubs have one person posting on Facebook, and it's a big job for one person. It's much more impactful if you have everybody in the club that is commenting and sharing the things that everybody's working so hard to do here, and to create that momentum and start different conversations just about the different projects, or invite volunteers, or tag the different charities. And you have a lot of exciting ones coming up. I personally think the Clink and Drink event sounds awesome. So if you had posted that on your Facebook page, I would send that out to all my followers. I think we should all go to the event that you guys have going on. So again, inviting your friends, tagging your speakers, because your speakers want to be promoted, so they're going to repost it. And again, you're building that club awareness. So I do want to hand it over to Kristen, because she has, just beyond where you guys are, because you already have a Facebook page, I wanted to tie in here a little experiment about beyond just online presence, what you can do additionally that is a lot of fun. And as we were kind of going around and seeing what other clubs all over the country were doing, we kind of stumbled upon something that was very interesting.
Yeah, so very nice to meet you. My name is Kristen Marin, and I work with Sarah Crilley at Real News. And so another way that we can get the word out, not only through the power of social media, but just in general through the power of the internet, is that we can speak out, and that's through the power of podcasting. So has anyone in here ever heard or listened to a podcast? Raise your hand. Right. And if you haven't, if you're not familiar with what a podcast is, has anyone in here ever listened to radio? All of us, right? We've all listened to radio. Everyone's heard the radio before. And essentially a podcast is a radio station or channel that plays online. And a better definition of a podcast is that it's an online digital recording produced in a series that are available for downloading either to your computer or your mobile device like your cell phone for audience consumption. And where radio sort of casts a wide net, you can kind of flip through the dial and hear whatever's happening. A podcast, you're tuning in directly, similar to the way you would tune into a specific show on your DVR, on your television. So it's more niche programming. And this is interesting. Actually, as of 2016, 21% of Americans ages 12 and up have listened to a podcast within the last month. So there's a lot of people listening out there. That's almost a quarter of all Americans ages 12 and up are consuming podcast audio. So some of the benefits of podcasts is that you can use it to promote your organization or your business in a unique and trendy way. So we're talking about social media is super trendy. Podcasting is unique because it's relatively new, but people are catching on, obviously. And it's a way, again, to reach a niche market and capture a new audience. So we're trying to do that with Rotary, right? We're trying to bring in new club members, new attendees. And it's a great way to tap into a growing and captive audience, because when you're tuning into a podcast, you're listening intently and you're searching for the content. You're not going to tune into a marketing podcast unless you want to hear about marketing. So, and it's really fun. You know, has anyone ever had the chance to be on a radio show or be on television? Broadcasting is a lot of fun. So here's why it works. Listeners can multitask. If I'm reading a book, I have to sit down and read the book. I can't do anything else, right? But if I'm listening to the radio, listening to a podcast, I can multitask. I can get my laundry done. I can go for a run on the treadmill. I can do more things. It also creates an open dialogue with your members. So if you were to create a Rotary podcast, it's another way for people to get information about what's happening with your club. Maybe you had some club attendees who weren't able to make the meeting today, but if they're listening into your weekly podcast, they can tune in and find out what they missed, and they can also find out, you know, about upcoming events and things like that. Content is also discoverable to new members. Because podcasts are hosted on the internet, anyone who has internet access can find them and find out about your Rotary Club. And it provides a really great source of club information. Again, if you start a show, you can invite guests on, you can give them member news, you can host interviews with upcoming speakers, promote upcoming events like the wine event that you have coming up, and just to raise more awareness. And the best part is it's really affordable to start. Basically anyone with a computer and a microphone can set up their own podcast, and it's accessible because it's available on the internet. So Sarah has actually had the opportunity to interview Bill Dendy, who I'm sure you're all familiar with, and this is just a little example of what a podcast for your Rotary Club could sound like. So it's probably not going to be super loud, but...
Top story this morning, I'm busting. Maplewood, that's where Jeff Crilley's transportation with rising gas prices.
This is Real News Talk. We bring you the hottest topics, conversation, and digital radio entertainment, all at the speed of news. And now, here's your host.
Hi, I'm Sarah Crilley. Joining me today, District Governor of 2016-2017, Bill Dendy. Welcome.
Sarah, it's great to be here with you. Rotary is an organization with over 1 point.
So that's just an example of what a Rotary podcast could sound like. You know, you get all the sound effects and the imaging in there, and suddenly you have a really cool radio show that people can tune into on the internet. And this isn't the first time that this idea has been brought up. Actually, RotaryClubRadio.com exists online, and this is a guy out of Wisconsin who decided to launch his own podcast for his home club. And what he was actually doing was interviewing different Rotary clubs around the U.S., and so it was just another way to get the word out and spread awareness. But it's just something to think about. Real News PR does have a podcasting department. Myself and Zach Lewis, our photographer here today, work in that department, and this is a picture of our studio, and it's a lot of fun. So if it's something you're thinking about, if it's something you'd like to learn more about and get started for your club, I'm happy to take questions after the speech or talk to you more about it afterwards. But right now I'm going to bring Sarah back up because she has another opportunity for you that she'd like to introduce you to.
Yes, so we want to invite you to be on my dad's weekly show as guest to talk about Clink and drink. Who wants to come on so we can broadcast? Yes, we would love to. So we have up to 8 microphones, so we could have a portion of anybody here that wants to come be on and promote kind of your upcoming events and just talk about Rotary. And so he does have a podcast, as Kristen was mentioning, but the show airs on 1190 AM radio. So it's an AM radio station on Saturdays and really easy to get to. It's over at the iHeart Media building. And so we've had different clubs on, and it's just a lot of fun to be able to kind of spread and monetize some of the things you guys are doing. So would love to have you on just as a guest. And it's about 15 minutes, and that's with my dad's weekend radio show. But, in closing, I really do want to appreciate all of you and just open it up for questions if I do have a couple minutes. Yes?
What time is your day show?
11 to 12 every Saturday.
Okay.
It's pre-recorded.
Question about
It's
podcasts.
live.
Yeah.
Is there a way of knowing when you're doing a podcast how many people you have that are involved and listening?
Yes. So most podcasts are hosted through an online forum called SoundCloud, and that's where you would upload your podcast to. And if you have a SoundCloud subscription, you can log in and see the demographics, and it gives you, an overall view of how many people are listening, actually where they're tuning in from, so you could see that people are listening in Saudi Arabia or New York, and how often and how frequent they've been tuning in. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any kind of evidence yet as to whether or not all of this social media contact has increased membership in various clubs? Has there been any feedback to you to show how it's working?
I've had great feedback just with clubs starting Facebook. There are several clubs that did not have a Facebook page. And so they have seen an increase on just awareness and members, and even my home club with the North Texas Pioneers, we've had the most increase of membership this year alone. It's awesome. So, absolutely. Just think, it's just that community awareness. You're able to see location-wise what's going on. So it's kind of that new resource to be able to see, what do I want to do on my Wednesday? And you can find a club. There is also, if social media, meetup.com is a resource where you can post an event. It's another kind of event site where you can find different community events. Yes?
What's your experience with the functionality of Facebook to buy the advertisement or to push your event out?
Boosting?
Boosting?
So I know that Facebook does have that boost so you can reach a wider audience beyond. And so I've seen those are different campaigns starting at it's kind of a pay to play just to reach an even wider audience. So I've seen that done.
Have you seen the effectiveness of Rotary clubs to promote your events that way?
So my home club has not been boosting posts at all, and they've seen a great response. So depending on what the budget is, and if you want to test it out, boost a post for $5 and see kind of what reach and response you get. You can kind of test it out and see.
Facebook has amazing metrics as far as marketing is concerned. I just don't know that we know of any clubs directly that have actually utilized the paid for play ads.
Yeah, I haven't asked them, hey, do you guys boost posts or not? But that's a really interesting question. Any other? Yes?
So can you just make a brief comment on that, meetup.com? Because I was recommended to it as a site where you could meet up with people with certain common interests.
Yes.
And so like trying new restaurants and everything you could hook up.
Yes, and you,
But the one time I went to on a Sunday, I took my wife with me and she said, I think you should have come by yourself because you're all looking for partners.
oh, I missed it.
That killed me.
Sid, it was like Match.com.
Oh no. Well, I'm suggesting to post your,
Meetup is not a dating site.
yeah, it's not a dating site. It's not a
just
dating site.
It's just a hosting site where you can post any sort of meeting
Kind of
that's
like an
taking place.
Eventbrite, meetup.com. You could post, hey, we're having our weekly Rotary meeting, come join us.
You
And
can
then
find out about
find
sales
it.
meetings on meetup.com. You can find out about, speakers. It's
I've been to a
just
lot
kind
of
anything.
networking, not dating.
Networking events, yeah.
This has been so much fun. Any other questions? I don't want to take up too much more time. Yeah.
I've heard that Facebook is more for our age that younger people, your generation, are using other sites.
So the interesting thing to your point is that Facebook has bought Instagram. So if anyone is aware of Instagram, they work together. So they're also reaching, both generations and
You had a
bridging the
graphic
gap.
at the beginning of your presentation that showed Facebook's reach, and they have a lot of young people on Facebook.
Not anymore.
Well, this is a recent graphic, and I was surprised myself because I thought Facebook had lost there, right there, that one.
That was the countries.
There it is. How big are the social networks?
Oh, how big?
That one, Facebook.
Yeah.
And
Instagram. So I don't know a millennial that has abandoned Facebook completely. They all have it. You abandoned it completely? You're a case study. So why?
The selfies, the narcissism,
Yeah.
the political banter I didn't want to read, just things that I don't want to read that I'm forced to see. So I kind of got off of it, and it's been on.
I've heard that before too. I certainly would encourage people to unfollow and just not follow those people. I think your, fellow Rotarians would.
It was in the paper this week how many of the young people have moved.
Are just
beyond
completely
Facebook.
abandoning it?
Yes. And now are going, I can't even remember all the new places, Snapchat.
Yeah, well,
that's the wrong graphic, by the way. It was
yeah,
almost
the
done.
same speech applies if you wanted to start going towards Instagram. Again, a very free, platform to use, just like Facebook, only it's much more photo heavy. So you post pictures and, can write the captions and.
So other areas
Look
of
at
social
18 to
media.
29. Look at 18 to 29. All right, 87%, okay, are on Facebook.
When was that?
This one I grabbed in 2016.
This is just from last year. But
2016.
the point is that Facebook is still the largest social media platform. So regardless of if you decide to set up a Facebook, an Instagram, a Twitter, or a LinkedIn account, you're still going to have outreach. But if you want the broadest outreach, the widest outreach, Facebook is still going to be your best bet because it has the most users.
You mentioned, though, that your club, your particular Rotary Club had an increase in membership. Were they?
I feel like it's a combination of the outreach that we've been doing. Again, word of mouth is one of the most effective ways, and just bringing people in.
Younger as well as older people?
Yeah, we have a great mix, and we're really excited. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun.
We have only one. No, we have a run right here.
Woo!
Now we have two.
We hope.
Hey, some of us older ones are still,
We're not gonna let
we're
it
still
run.
out there, we're still looking.
One thing we have to do, as a journalist, let me warn you about what you read and see. And I will give you an example. There is a lot of talk all the time about how social media has taken over the dissemination of news, all right? Pew Research Center, which is the source for this, because they study this constantly, put out a report less than a year ago that said the following. In 1985, 72% of all Americans got their news from television. What do you think it is now?
35?
69%.
Really?
So not much different. Television is still the big gun, and Facebook is still the big gun. And it's growing. It's not getting smaller, it's growing. So remember that when we start dissecting. Sarah, Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so now it's time for what we call the great ripoff, or the weekly